the 1st of May began in the United States. Even though it's celebrated in France and the other countries of Europe, it has its origins in the United States. Why? Because in 1886, there was a great strike movement, and the principal trade union of the time, the Knights of Labor, was pushed by its own rank and file, its base, if you wish, to declare the 1st of May a workers' holiday. And that's what happened. But the strike, which came out of that movement, continued for several days, and there were some very serious incidents near Chicago where some workers were killed. In response to this situation, the trade union leaders of Chicago organized a great demonstration. And as this demonstration was breaking up, someone threw a bomb in the middle of it. The leaders of the demonstration, although they had absolutely nothing to do with this bomb that was thrown, were arrested, they were accused, they were judged, and they were hung. 4 of them were hung in 1887. Now, when the Second Socialist International was created in Paris, France, in 1889, they seized upon this day, the 1st of May, in order to celebrate these Haymarket martyrs, and it's been from that time that workers all over the world have celebrated the 1st of May. There is a workers' holiday celebrated in the United States, but it's not at all celebrated the way it is in Europe. First of all, it's not celebrated on the 1st of May. It's celebrated on a day that was designated especially by the American government. In other words, the first Monday of every September. Therefore, it's not celebrated on the same day from one year to the next. But the most important thing is that the workers' holiday doesn't have the same symbolic value in the United States that it has in Europe. It doesn't represent the history of workers' struggles or the difficulties of building labor unions. In the end, it celebrates simply an activity or a category of people in the United States. When you come right down to it, in the end, Labor Day in the United States is no different from Mother's Day or Father's Day. There was a time when the 1st of May was celebrated in the United States, especially before the First World War. But the American government took advantage of its participation in the war to repress the labor movement, and it continued that repression after the war. After all, the date, the 1st of May, was associated with socialism and communism, and this was one of the reasons for its suppression itself. The result of all that was a break in the continuity of the American labor movement. Now, we know that there was a renewal of trade union activity during the 1930s, but another break in the continuity of this movement came after the Second World War. There was more anti-labor legislation that was passed. In 1947, it was the famous Taft-Hartley Act, which outlawed wildcat strikes and which obliged the unions to purge themselves of subversives like communists and socialists. And it was from that time that the American trade unions began to work very closely with the government, even to the extent of collaborating with the CIA, which they did in Europe immediately after the war, and which they continued to do in various parts of the Third World, Latin America, for example. Now, the labor hierarchy, the labor officials, because they control the American working class particularly, simply do not want to see the base or the rank and file of the American workers demonstrated in the streets as individual workers acting collectively, even outside the context of the labor unions, because that's what the 1st of May is in the end. It's a demonstration of the workers at the base. And another factor is, in the suppression of the 1st of May as a workers' holiday, was the general raise in the standard of living for American workers. In fact, the combined result of all of these things was the creation of that social and political consensus which characterizes American society right up until the present time.